Hi, everyone. I'm Adam Booth, and joining me today is Gerri Houlihan, a choreographer who's worked with the West Virginia Dance Company on two different dances, 4x4 and Schubert Variations. I have some questions for Gerri, and we're looking forward to getting to know about her and her work with the dance company. So let me welcome, hi, Gerri.
Greetings, Adam. So nice to see you.
Same here. I was saying before we started recording, and I'll say it again, that you look radiant over Zoom, which I think is a fantastic testament to your person.
Thank
So,
you.
can you tell me and tell us what brought you to West Virginia to choreograph for the West Virginia Dance Company?
Yeah, mostly Tanita and Donald Blaney, both who I met through the American Dance Festival. I started teaching for the American Dance Festival in 1981, and Tanita had been coming to the dance festival from time to time. I think even before it was in North Carolina, I think she might have attended when it was at Connecticut College back in the day. And then Donald came one summer as a student, and I had a company at that time in Miami, Florida. I was teaching at New World School of the Arts in Miami, which is four-year high school, four-year college for music, dance, visual arts, and theater. And I had a company based in Miami. And so we were looking for a dancer, and we thought, oh, maybe at this dance festival this summer, we'll find someone. And Donald walked in to take a class, and one of the dancers in the company, who was my assistant, said, that one, he's the one. So we lured him to Miami to perform with us. And then he has come to ADF several times looking for dancers for the West Virginia Dance Company. So that was the kind of beginning of our connection.
So, if there are some people watching that don't know what the American Dance Festival is, can you tell us about that?
Sure. The American Dance Festival is based here in North Carolina, in Durham, and it's a year-round organization. The festival itself is 6 weeks during the summer. Now it's been online for the past 2 summers, which has been really rough. But usually there are about 300 students that come here in the summer for 6 weeks and take classes and learn repertory and see performances. There are usually 2 or 3 companies that perform every week. And the students who attend get free tickets to all of the performances.
Oh, wow.
And they study with an incredible variety of teachers. But now, about 5 years ago, maybe, ADF bought the top floor of a building here in Durham. And we have 2 studios. So we now have classes going on year round.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
It seems like a dream, actually.
So I decided when I retired that I thought, I could move anywhere. Where do I want to be? And after coming to ADF summer after summer, Durham in 1981 looked a little sketchy, but every summer I would come back, and every summer Durham would get more and more interesting, cute little shops and wonderful bookstore and nice restaurants. And so by the time I retired 6 years ago, I thought, yeah, I think Durham is where I want to make my home base.
And that's where you're speaking to us from today.
Exactly.
So the West Virginia Dance Company was initially able to engage you through the American Masterpieces grant category. You're considered a master because of your artistic journey, some of which we've already heard about. And I wonder if you could tell us more about this incredible journey. Can you take us back to the very beginning and bring us forward?
Oh gosh, how much time do you have? No. Just to give you a little insight into the family lore, the story is that my father had retired, and the family had moved to Florida, and my dad was playing tennis, very hardcore tennis player, with an old-time singer named Rudy Valley, probably way before your time, Adam.
Oh, but I know that name.
Okay. So he and Rudy Valley used to play tennis together and then come back to our house
Wow.
in Florida. And apparently I was very shy, and I would disappear into another room. But if they had music on, I would be in this other room dancing away. And apparently Rudy Valley walked by the door one day and looked in and called my mother over and said, you know, she has a kind of remarkable connection to music. I wonder if maybe you should think about giving her dance lessons. So
Wow.
there you go. And then, you know, the rest of the story, I was just talking to my great niece the other day, and she's about to get married, and she's graduating from college this weekend. And I said, you know, I'd hardly ever graduated from anything. I went to high school in Westchester County. My family moved back to New York State, and I grew up in Westchester County. But in my junior year of high school, I had a fabulous teacher who asked me where I was thinking about going to college. And I said I was thinking about Sarah Lawrence because they had a good dance program and also a good English program. And she said, have you ever thought about Juilliard? And I said, oh, you know, I can't imagine being able to get into Juilliard. And she said, well, they have this great program that you can go as a junior in high school and take an advisory audition. And they'll give you feedback and say what your chances might be of getting in should you decide to apply again as a senior. So she took me on the train, I did my ballet, I did my modern, did my solo. And they sent a letter to my parents and my high school advisor saying that they thought I should come to Juilliard right away and not wait for another year. Which I just thought was, you know, the best thing I had ever could possibly hear. And so I needed something like 2 credits, which I did that summer, typing and Spanish and something, and started Juilliard in what would have been the fall of my senior year of high school. So that was great. And then I didn't finish Juilliard because my teacher at Juilliard sent me to audition for the Metropolitan Opera Ballet Company. And he said, you know, they won't take you because they have to do union and non-union auditions. And they don't take someone from the non-union because it's much easier to already take somebody that's in the union. But it would be good experience for you to go. So I went, 300 women, you know, an hour, 2 hours, and less people until finally they offered 2 of us contracts. So
I'm sensing a theme in your life.
it is. At 20 years old, I signed a contract to dance with the Metropolitan Opera for the opening of the Met at Lincoln Center.
Ah,
Which was, yeah.
was that Anthony and Cleopatra?
Yes, I know that. Oh, I have the poster right up here. Well,
Are
this
you
is my Met poster. If you see, that's my Met poster from 1966.
Wow. Incredible.
And Alvin Ailey did the choreography.
Wow.
And there Lindsay came for the opening night.
I know I'm asking the questions here, but now I'm also having a total fan moment, a geek out moment, as someone who loves American opera.
Oh, wonderful. It was incredible. What an incredible experience to get paid to go and listen to this amazing music. And yeah, it was a dream.
And I understand there were elephants at that production.
Yes, there were. I think we should have asked for hazard pay. Yeah, and one performance, Leontine Price got stuck in the pyramid. You know, it was the opening of the Met, and so they hadn't quite figured out all the bells and whistles of how everything worked. And it was in a matinee, at least, but the stagehands, the pyramid was supposed to make one revolution, and she was open, and she came out to sing this aria, and they just lost track, and she just went around and around several times, and opened up and came out, and she was like, and sang this gorgeous aria, and then went backstage and yelled at these stagehands.
I bet, yeah.
Oh.
So from the opening of the Met to having your own company, I'm
Yeah.
sure there were many exciting experiences between there.
Yeah. Well, I think, I really wanted to be, when I was studying at Juilliard, I studied with an incredible, incredible teacher, a man named Anthony Tudor. And he, very, very prominent English choreographer. And he was, I don't know what his official title was, but he had a number of works in the repertory of the American Ballet Theater. And that was the company I really wanted to dance for, because all his work was in that company. And instead of being behind an elephant, I thought it would be great to be doing, Tudor ballets. And so I auditioned, and I was told that I was too tall and not quite strong enough to be in the company. And the director, recommended I come back in 3 years and re-audition. And I thought, I'm not going to get any shorter in 3 years. So this does not look promising. And somehow over a number of wild experiences, I wound up shifting from ballet to modern dance. And that was great good fortune for me. I think I would have always, the point shoes, I was always going to be too tall. And I realized that what I loved about Tudor's ballets, actually, they weren't about swans and fairies and princesses. They were much more real. And so the transition into modern, in retrospect, made a lot of sense. But at the time, it was pretty traumatic.
I can imagine. It also sounds like the first time that you've shared in these stories where you didn't have like a bump into something, like you had all these like kind of head starts along your way, and this was come back in a few years, and
Right,
that was
right.
pretty significant to shift you in the other direction.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, my initial response was that I was just going to stop. I was going to stop dancing. I thought, all this work for nothing. And, I'm just going to move back to Westchester and teach at the little studio where I had been training and, just give it all up. And I got invited to do a performance out there, and a choreographer from New York happened to come to the performance and saw me dance and came backstage and said, I hear you're not interested in performing anymore. And I said, that's correct. And he said, well, if you change your mind, I would be happy to offer you a scholarship at my studio and come study modern. I have a small company in New York. And I was like, probably not, but thank you. And then, some weeks went by and I thought, well, it wouldn't hurt to go in once and just sort of see what it was like. And so I took a few classes, and then about 6 months later, he invited me to join this company, and I became a modern dancer. Dun, dun, dun. But at New World, I taught both, and I continue, not so much lately, but I've continued to teach both ballet and modern, and I feel both of those components are very strong in my own background.
You mentioned retiring and moving to Durham,
Yeah.
but often when people retire, they're just starting something else, doing more.
Clearly, I
So
haven't figured that out.
it sounds like the same for you. You're still actively working, yes?
Oh. I know. The real problem was that the sun just came out here. That I started teaching this class called Community Moves at the American Dance Festival studio every Sunday. And it was for older dancers, older adults. And some of them were, people who had danced maybe in college and then hadn't danced for a long time and had fantasies about coming back and doing some classes again. Some of them were local dance teachers, middle school, high school, university teachers. Some of them, they're just an interesting group of folks. And the class started, with maybe 8 or 10 people. And after a year or so, there were about 25 or 30. And I realized that many of them were just beautiful movers. Mm. And they were in their 50s and 60s and 70s. And I started to think, I think I want to choreograph something for these women, mostly women. I had one gentleman. And so lo and behold, I wound up with this group called the Big Red Dance Project. So Big Red was before COVID, as you see. Mm-hmm.
Sure.
And then, wonderful companies like the West Virginia Dance Company and colleges and universities in the area have invited me to come and set work for them.
Yeah.
So I've been doing that, UNC Greensboro and NC State and Elon. And so, yeah, retirement doesn't quite seem to be in the stars yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Good. And we're glad for it. When you worked with the West Virginia Dance Company,
Yes.
can you tell us about your experience with the dancers?
Yeah, what a wonderful group of dancers. Oh my goodness. I knew Donald from working with him before. So I knew that he had really excellent training, and that came from Tanita. Tanita is just very, not that she's strict, but her standards are very high. Mm-hmm. She really doesn't let things slip by. She knows what she wants, and she knows how she wants her dancers to work and how she wants the works to be presented. And she sticks to her guns and will really require that people step up. And so it was, after that first experience, I thought, well, this is a company I could always work with if they find themselves with a place for my work. It's always some place that I would love to be and love to share with. And she, I think that's been tricky to find dancers all the time. And that happens in big companies, like Bill T. Jones lost 4 or 5 dancers just before the pandemic. So that's always the hard thing, is you just get a dancer trained and they're just doing really well. And then they say, oh, I think I'm going to go to grad school, or who knows what, I'm going to get married, or I'm going to have a baby, or I'm going to do, yeah. So, but I am so impressed with how Tanita is able to just keep stepping one foot in front of the other and moving forward. And I know that she's challenged by a lot of the things that come through, and, as we all have been with this pandemic, but that she just continues to say, okay, well, how could we make this work?
Yeah, that's really her spirit.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so wonderful. It's very inspiring.
Yes.
For her dancers.
And she inspires, many people, artists who are not dancers, with that same spirit.
That's wonderful.
Myself being one of them.
Ah, good to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The 2 pieces that the West Virginia Dance Company has worked with are 4x4 and Schubert Variations. And I've seen Schubert Variations several times when they've danced it in several different settings. And it's a piece that just lingers in my memory. The movements are just like, everybody feels so long in their movements, but without force. It seems very easy in how long that they seem. And there's something light, almost like a rococo quality about the lightness of it. There's so much movement, but it's not busy. And so I want to know, why did you choose these 2 pieces for the West Virginia Dance Company?
Right, they're very different. The 4x4 is a percussion school. I'm one of those choreographers. There are people who choreograph because they have an idea, or they have something they want to say, or and I have occasionally done that. But my usual modus operandi is a connection to a piece of music. So that's where I begin. Okay. And with 4x4, I wanted to challenge myself because I am most comfortable with classical music. So as a student at Juilliard, I don't think they do this anymore, because I think they have so many more credits that they have to be able to check off. But when I was there as a dance major, we had 2 music courses every semester as a dance major.
Really?
Every semester of every year that I was there. And by the second year, you needed to learn an instrument.
Oh, wow.
So, Tudor, my teacher at Juilliard, was an extremely musical choreographer in a ballet venue. And Lar Lubavitch, that's the company that I danced with for most of my career. Lar and I were students together at Juilliard.
Oh.
So he came out of the same music training and the same dance training that I did. And we shared that real preference for lush, beautiful music that just made you want to move. So the Schubert has that. I love the idea of the variations in the Schubert and trying to pick some thematic material in movement and see how I could translate that into all these different variations. Some of them romantic and some of them playful, and the two men duet, that's sort of one-upmanship, and there's a sense of humor in the Schubert that I really loved, and also the kind of lyrical quality of that music. And then 4x4 I thought would be a very different experience for them. It was originally choreographed for 4 dancers. It's been done by as many as 24 now at times. So it kind of can expand and contract depending on the casts, but it's all percussion, which for me is very unusual and challenging, which I wanted to do. It's the New Percussion Group of Amsterdam. But it has some very melodic sections, and some of it that's really very aggressive and some of it that's very lyrical. So I just felt like it also has 4 different solos. And I thought that would be nice that each dancer would be able to have a solo.
Do you find that you hear a piece of music and say, "Oh, this is like," does it immediately speak to you, or
Absolutely.
are you often combing through different pieces to see if something is tapping at your shoulder?
Both.
Yeah.
Both. I mean, I think maybe I'm still one of the few people in the country that has, piles of CDs. I know I should have it all on my phone, and I should be able to just, do that and come up with, but I have a pile of CDs down here. I have another pile of CDs upstairs, and I listen, and then I listen to the classical music station here all the time. And then, when I can, I go to performances, music performances and dance performances. And actually for this Mendelssohn piece that we're going to be working on coming up, I had seen a performance, well, I've seen it now a number of times, by Bill T. Jones, very well-known choreographer here. And it's called D-Man in the Water. And it's the Mendelssohn octet.
Okay.
And he choreographed it during the AIDS crisis. And D-Man was one of his dancers who had AIDS. And so he choreographed it as a tribute to this dancer. And it is an extraordinary piece and just one of my favorite all-time dances. And I love the music, and I thought, Mendelssohn, I should go look around and see what else is there in that Mendelssohn repertoire that might be interesting for me. And I found this Mendelssohn piano concerto. And what I love about it is that it's in 3 movements, and each movement is very, very different. So the first movement is very serious, very dramatic, very kind of intentional. And then the second movement is the one I fell in love with. The second movement is like the heart of the movement. And it's this beautiful, maybe almost like that song without words kind of quality of Mendelssohn that's just so lush and and it can stand alone, and it has been performed alone as just that second movement. It's been done as a solo, and it's been done as a trio. And so Tanita and I are still talking about what we're going to do with that. And then the third section is almost it's almost silly. It's just it's just very, it lends itself really well to some to some comedy and some just fast, frantic movement. Ends with a big finish. But we're not sure how much of it we will actually do. A lot of it depends on rehearsals and if I can get there, or we're going to rehearse on Zoom, or how many dancers. So we're still working out some of the details.
Yeah. It sounds like there's an opportunity for just so much that you could do with those different movements.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I see why it's a piece that's speaking to you.
Well, it's nice to have three really different qualities within this one piece. And
Sure.
I was looking at just looking at his bio this morning, and he was something like 21 or 22 when he wrote this music.
Hmm.
And it's so mature and it's so sophisticated. It amazes me that he could have, he was really such a genius, and people always kind of think Bach and Beethoven and Mozart, but
Right.
I think he's right up there.
Yeah, absolutely. And you start to dig into biography like that and you think, no, but what was I composing at
Oh,
21?
golly, right. At 21, I was trying to not get in the way of the elephants over there at the center.
So I have one more question for you today.
Sure.
The West Virginia Dance Company is a smaller company that really serves a lot of rural communities.
Yeah.
And so, what's your thought on a company like that and serving rural communities?
I think it's extraordinary. I mean, the huge part of it that I find so appealing is that they do so much in the schools. And I just think that's so important, especially now when we're in difficult times and money is tight, and the first things that get cut are the art programs. And it just breaks my heart. And I think, I was so fortunate to grow up with a lot of music in my house and with dance classes. And, I was studying flamenco and Bharatanatyam and ballet and modern and I think there's so many children who don't ever have that experience. And also that they don't realize that that's something that you could do as a profession.
Yeah.
Like, wow, I mean, you get paid to do this, and you can, well, more or less. I mean, it's rough now. I have so many students I retired from Florida State University, and a whole crew of really talented students moved up to New York. And, a few years later, pandemic hits and everything. One of them had just gotten into Hamilton. One of them was doing the West Side Story, the new West Side Story, and a couple of them dancing in modern dance companies, and then everything just ground to a halt.
Mm.
So I think in many ways we're all reconsidering how this is going to play out.
Right.
But the arts will always find a way. I mean, I think if you're meant to be a dancer or a painter or a writer or a musician, you will somehow find a way. And that this company can go to places where they may never have been exposed to any of these ideas. And they can see really excellent dancers, because the dancers that Tonita chooses are always so well trained, so well rehearsed, that I think it can, if it touches one person in that audience, if one young person looks at this and goes, wow, I never thought I could do that, but maybe I could. I'm working on a film right now with a friend of mine from the theater program at Duke. And we have a videographer who's been videotaping all our rehearsals. And he has an assistant with him from Iran. His name is Syed, and he's very quiet and very shy. And he gets behind the camera and he does all his videotaping and, just never says a word and kind of barely looks at me. And yesterday after rehearsal, he came up to me and he said, could I ask you a question? And I said, of course. And he said, do you know if there is anywhere here in Durham where I could take a dance class? I mean, he's never danced a step in his life. But from watching these rehearsals, he's just been, galvanized into wanting to pursue it a little bit more. So that's what I think can happen when the West Virginia Dance Company goes to places where, this is not something that they are going to encounter in their everyday life. And for one or two people, perhaps it opens a door that is life-changing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, victories.
Absolutely.
Oh, Gerri, I have loved this time with you. I wish that we were there in person because you have such a convivial quality to you that I feel like I've known you for my whole life.
Well, it's so easy to chat with you. So you'll have to come if I get down there to rehearse in person, which I hope I will. You have to come by Beckley.
I will. I would love that. Yeah, and get to see you in person and watch the way that all of you are working
How the
together.
magic happens.
Yeah, it'd be a treat. Well, thank you so much for your time today and for sharing these really fascinating stories with us and for the work that you've done with the West Virginia Dance Company. And we look forward to more.
Oh, thank you so much. I do too. Take good care.